Hey everyone, wanted to explain an amazing story that goes to show how underlying everything is this one and zero coding, one and zero strong or weak, or like a binary code to life. I often question it just because I have a mind, and I think am I crazy with what I'm doing? Is it just my bias and I'm somehow making it all up? But this story is one of those ones that reinforces what I do. So last week, let me jump into it. I'll try and keep it as short as possible. It's really, really cool. Last week, on the Monday morning, I did a webinar for my online course, and I was telling the students about this old client, an old client history or kind of story. A few years ago, or maybe about 6 years ago, I had a client who the daughter put her mother in touch with me through kind of referred because her husband, so this was an elderly lady, husband had been in hospital for 6 months, and she'd been told to expect the worst and to come in and prepare because he was dying. And so I remember her explaining vividly, like, one, she was extremely scared. She didn't want, obviously, to lose her husband. And the other thing was, I remember her describing him as being waxy, yellowy, waxy, like he hadn't been out of bed for 6 months. And there's a certain look of someone who's really, really very close to the end. So I remember thinking that. And so what I did was I worked on her fears about losing a husband, so she was as neutral as possible, the fears and worries, etc. And I looked at the situation with him. Now, he wasn't there. I was working on Skype. I was in Barcelona, she was in the UK. And I looked at the situation with him, and now the doctors were saying that he had an infection of his heart, but I was getting that there was what I would call an infestation weakness. So infestation is different to infection, it's further along, and there was a parasite infestation. That is what I got. Now, I remember at the time thinking, well, who am I to say that, why am I getting something different from the doctors? But that's what I was getting with the, testing the energy of it. It was coming up as lung. So I strengthened that. Now, someone go, what do you mean you strengthened it? You're not even near there. Well, you strengthen. How I work is I connect with someone and strengthen it, and it doesn't matter where they are. I could be right in front of me or, on the other side of the world. So I remember strengthening a few more things for the husband. So let's say that was on a Thursday. On the Monday, I did a follow-up call with the lady, and she told me that the next day the nurse had called her to say, it's incredible, but your husband just got out of bed for the first time in 6 months and went to the toilet on his own. And then when I was speaking to her on that Monday, the doctors had said to her, it's incredible. I think they used the word miracle. He seems to be getting better. And I never heard any more from them from that moment. So I remember thinking back last week, it popped into my mind. I was thinking, did I make that whole thing up? Did I exaggerate, or did I, think about it, exaggerate the thing? But I told the students about it and said, and didn't hear any more back, but I remember that clearly. Then on the Thursday where I live, my wife who'd been in for a treatment at this beautician, when she was paying, she said, oh, Brinded, is that Rob Brinded? And she said, yeah. And she said, well, my mother had a session with him years ago, and he really helped us. So my wife told me that. I popped in to see her, and I remembered her. And she was like, yeah, you worked on my father. He was in hospital. And it was this. So not only was the coincidence that I've been telling the group about that situation, then I met her. Okay, it's a coincidence, possibly. And then I said to her, oh, I remember. And she reiterated my story exactly. Like the next day, the nurse had said this, he got out of bed to go to the toilet. And so I felt a bit nervous to ask. I said, so how is your father? He said, oh yeah, he's well. So I don't know if it's like 4 years later or something. He's fine. Well, she said that he actually got well enough to be able to have an operation on something, and then, yeah, he's doing well. So, yeah, I've been thinking about that and just thinking about how there wasn't any placebo, because the guy didn't know that his wife was speaking to me, and I wasn't even there and I never met him. Is it possible that it was just a coincidence that the next day after the session he got out of bed after 6 months of not? You know, maybe, but that's pretty cool, you know, results. And that's why again, I always say there's no gurus. Everyone, like, I've got good at doing this method by just experience, practice over the years. And now I teach other people how to do it. And, you know, it'd be really cool if there was at least 1 in 10 people who was doing this, or if more and more people got to try this and learn how to do it themselves and be able to work on their families. Because you know, it doesn't always work, especially when someone's that ill, they're dying. You know, I've worked with clients who were dying and they died. You know, I wasn't able to, sometimes I was able to, but, you know, push it back a few years, but I couldn't resolve, let's say, the cancer or something. But we all die, you know, that's at some point we're all going to die. But this guy is now, you know, he's had another 4 years and maybe more, you know, more and more years ahead of him, because the underlying thing that was weakening him was resolved. It wasn't what the doctors were saying it was, what they were seeing. It was something underneath that was weakening, let's say, the heart, but it was coming from the lungs, I remember clearly. So just a amazing story. I mean, amazing experience for me, amazing client. You know, to be able to talk with the daughter, and she was, you could see she was like so grateful and emotional, and I got emotional because it was, you know, you're able to make a difference in someone's life. So there's just so many things that you know, that there is this underlying strong or weak energy that has such an impact on relationships, health, fitness, etc. And also that we can learn how to do it ourselves, and we can have an effect on it. And we don't even need to be in the room. We can affect others at distance. So it's just so cool. And that's why I have my course online, to teach other people how to do it. Yeah, so if you'd like to know more about that, just get in contact with me. Leave a message underneath the video. That'd be cool. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you like the video, smash up the like button and subscribe to my channel. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.